Hey friends, today I would like to explore what I believe to be the number one key for reading and interpreting the Bible. Because let's be honest, these 66 books are not always the easiest books to read and understand. They're life-giving, they're meant to draw us closer to God and into the life we're created for. But if you just Google or research a passage in the Bible, you'll see that not only is it complicated to read, but there's often a wide variety of opinions as to interpreting every single scripture throughout the Bible. So how do we read it? While there's many different methods that I love to talk about and will be talking about on this channel, from history to culture to language to types of literature, all those amazing things, I think there's one thing that always ought to be the foundation of how we interpret the Bible, and that is love. And I get this straight from Jesus. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, when Jesus is asked, which is the greatest commandment in the law, Jesus responds with, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Love God, love others. Jesus says all the law and the prophets, so all the Old Testament. And I think we can add in the New Testament because even though Jesus didn't have it, it's based on the Old Testament. It's based on Jesus. And it all hangs on love God and love your neighbor. This is the lens through which we are meant to understand all of Scripture and honestly, all of life. It's really interesting. One of Jesus' contemporaries, sort of a predecessor, he most likely died when Jesus was a teenager, was Rabbi Hillel. And Rabbi Hillel is credited with saying, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. This is the whole Torah. The rest is the explanation. Go and learn. So they're in agreement here that basically all of it, the Torah or the law, the prophets, all of it is about loving God. He says, don't do to others basically what you don't want to do to yourself. And Jesus says that's the second one, right? Do to others. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I love how Hillel says everything else is commentary or explanation, helping us to understand exactly what this means to live out love. So when you're reading the scripture, the very first question I would encourage you to ask is, how is this passage inviting me, teaching me, challenging me, encouraging me to love God and love others? And if an interpretation in any way is leading you away from loving God and loving others, then we've probably misunderstood it. There's probably something off about it. This is meant to be the lens. And what I mean by lens is, if you go outside and you're not wearing any glasses, you're going to see the world and the colors in the world one way. But if you put on like blue tinted or red tinted or other colored tinted glasses, everything is filtered through that lens. So colors shift a little bit. You see everything a little differently. And what I'm saying is, I think loving God and loving others is the lens through which we filter everything we read in the Bible. It helps us get closer to what God is truly saying, because ultimately, this book is meant to lead us closer to God and others. It's meant to guide us in how we live. And what God desires for the world is peace, love, justice, wholeness, that original shalom we were created for. I love in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says this, and it's a little bit of a lengthy passage. We'll go through it a bit by bit, but I think it's worth taking a look at. He says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. That's painful. I'm not any good at playing instruments, let alone a cymbal. But that was probably quite annoying sounding. It was just noise It wasn't harmonious. It wasn't beautiful. It's just a clanging cymbal. And this, Paul says, is what it's like if we are living and doing things, even in the name of God, without love. So he goes on to say, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Friends, when we read the Bible and come to conclusions that lead us away from love, that lead us to do things in a way that doesn't include love as the foundation, as the medium, as the message, as the way we carry it out, as the reason we do it, then we're just adding more noise to the world. And friends, there is plenty of noise already in the world. What cuts through is not making more noise to be louder and more annoying. What cuts through, what gets through that noise is something different. Love. So he goes on to explain exactly what this looks like. This is how we know something is loving. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. This is the foundation of how we read and understand the Bible. So when you're looking at a scripture and it's complicated, and it may at first appear that there's not a whole lot of love in the passage, you may have to sit with it for a while. It may be uncomfortable. Sometimes we want to jump to easy answers and say, oh, I understand it, I get it, just right away, right? And that can lead us to seek and discover interpretations that aren't the honest truth, that aren't rooted in love. Sometimes we have to wrestle with Scripture for a while, like Jacob wrestling with the angel or with God or with whoever it was in that Genesis passage, however you interpret that. He says, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And it's like sometimes we have to sit with and wrestle with Scripture until it blesses us, until how it teaches us to love God and love others becomes clear. So if we deploy all the methods of Bible interpretation, but forget about love, we're not going to end up in the most truthful, honest place. So friends, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is encouraging, because as you're reading Scripture, if you have this lens, I think it opens some beautiful, wonderful doors for God to invite you into the life you're created for, into the life of the kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven. Love is the foundation. Love God and love others. That is the key. So friends, if you enjoyed this, I'd love for you to subscribe. Click that notification bell to be notified when new videos come up. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this, what this means for you as you are reading Scripture, any questions you may have. Of course, in the description below, you can also sign up for my newsletter, reach out via email, connect with the Patreon, all kinds of good stuff. But I'm so grateful you are here with me today. Blessings as you go forth with the rest of your day, and grace and peace be with you.